Hi everyone, how are you? It's Susie here, and I'm just going to put a little introduction on this video. Now, if you haven't heard us before, we are Susie and Wilson, Journey of Remembrance, and we talk about our spiritual processes. We are living on the road. We have no fixed abode. We've given up our previous lives to follow our soul's calling, and we are in the process of trusting that unfoldment process, and we're documenting it and sharing it with you as we go, as part of that. So I'm just filming this on my iPhone. I don't have a production thing going on properly. It's just quite raw. I'm just sharing the honest process as we go along, and you'll see all these different backgrounds now because we're moving around quite a lot and navigating that, as well as our amazing alchemical experiences that we have. And this video that I'm about to share is, I need to do a little preface, introduction to it, because I started filming it when I was out in nature, and I started filming myself not with the intention to share it. It was one of these, I just wanted to capture it for myself, to speak what I was feeling, and as a reminder, just as a bit of a snippet of something, because I do that along the way of all this. So what I'm about to share with you was not intended for public viewing. It was me doing a little bit of a spiel to myself about what I was feeling, but then it transformed and it became a totally unexpected experience, which I wasn't ready for, and I kept filming, and then I started to speak a little bit more. I was like, okay, I've started filming this now, it must be meant to be. And then I carried on recording my process, trying to talk a little bit clearer for someone else to hear me, and just captured the moment of what I experienced on that day. And I wasn't going to share it. I thought maybe it was just for me after all, but then my greater being wouldn't let me off with that. It it said, no, you do need to share it, but you can maybe add an introduction. And I've also added at the end of that kind of off-the-cuff recording outside, I've added at the end a bit more of a in-depth explanation of my process that I've been having since I filmed that. So this video is a little bit different format from some of the other ones, but I need to share it with you, be honest, open, and I hope you gain something from the experience of watching and listening. So without further ado, I'll put the next video on. Okay. False light supremacy in me, that aspect of me that is a false light supremacist. That's what I'm feeling, integrating right now. It hates organic life. It wants control, action, dominance, power over. It sees humans, I'll take Wilson as my example right now, as weak, feeble, useless. Here's some horses coming. Oh my goodness. This is epic. Are they coming? Wow, they're right here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Check them. Oh. 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 Hello, horsies. You're gonna walk right past me. Okay, gorgeous. Hello. Hello, beautiful. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you for visiting me. You're absolutely amazing. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Wow. That I did not expect. Wow. Hello, gorgeous. Hello. Wow. Wow. I am absolutely moved and touched by that amazing, beautiful, natural gift from Sophia that arrived there just as I was admitting to something that I've found really, really hard to admit to. But I must, in this integration process, admit my part, the aspect of me, the expression of me in the false light ideology, because I have suffered so much at the hands of that force in my life as Susie on Earth here, and I'm only just recovering from that kind of torture that I've experienced there, and to come to terms with the fact that I've also been imposing that torture on other beings and inflicting that kind of torture on nature. That's a hard thing, but that's where I'm at right now, and it's really core for me. I've had so much, wounding, victimhood around it, and resentment. It's one of the hardest things I've had to. It's one of the hardest things I've had to come to terms with. But oh my, that's exactly what's happening right here, and as I say, I couldn't be more touched by that beautiful acknowledgement from the horses and Sophia. Wow, the force of her is so mighty and graceful. Those horses were so mighty and graceful and loving and gentle, and that part of me that has been anti-life, anti-nature just got kissed in that moment, and I'm humbled. That part of me is humbled and transformed. I really mean it. That's just happening. That's happening right now. Wow. I did not expect this. Oh goodness. So wow. This is how it goes. sorry, Sophia. I'm really sorry. And I'm sorry to Wilson, and I'm sorry to myself, and all the people, all the life that has suffered at my hand. I'm responsible for a lot of pain and damage through that false light ideology, through that false light aspect of myself. So much denial, it just so believes it's right. It's just so deeply convinced that it is right, and that anything else that questions that is just an inconvenience or a nuisance or something that needs removed or destroyed or cleared away. It so intensely believes that it is right, and that it has the right and the authority to just impose itself and implement its way, implement its view, implement its beliefs and of how life is and how life should be. So it's one of these moments for me where I'm transmuting my victimhood around being on the receiving end of all that through my family, and also coming to terms with the fact I've been that aspect of me. I need to integrate. I need to own it. I need to own it, accept it, stop denying it, stop pushing it away, stop trying to pretend it isn't there because I don't want it to be. It is there, it's part of me, and I need to own it and become accountable. And wow, my heart has been so touched and moved by, oh, here they are, right on cue. So touched and moved by those horses. Those amazing, graceful, mighty, loving representatives of the earth. Wow. There they go, back to the field. That couldn't be more beautiful if it tried. Thank you. Fucking hell. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I love you. So there we go. That footage that I took a few days ago now captures the raw moment as it happened. A very emotional moment for me, as you can see and maybe feel, of my distortion, my false light distorted aspect, separate aspect, atoning, admitting its wrongdoings, being heard and received by nature, and that was nature's response. The whole thing was completely surprising to me, and it was so moving because the way those horses came so lovingly and interacted with me, it was a message that I was forgiven. It was a message from the earth that I was forgiven. And I've carried so much guilt in my being around all that I've been doing as this false light, separate false light aspect of myself, I've carried around so much guilt and shame around my behaviour as that force, as that type of being, that in that moment it was a kind of a release. There was a relief, a huge relief, because I was touched with the love of the earth, and she told me it was okay. She told me it was okay, and the question for me is, since, if Sophia forgives me, can I forgive myself? And that's been the kind of process I've been in since that was experienced and recorded. And I've been integrating even more of it since then, which has been a really, really painful thing to do. And it's because it's just become time for it to no longer be separate in my being. It's time for it to integrate back into me and to be like to be resolved, yes, to be resolved, but almost like absolved of all its pain as well in the process. It happened partly as me and Wilson, we trigger each other constantly. If there's energy in us that's distorted and that just isn't quite right, we will unconsciously, it'll just sort of play out. We will activate each other, we'll trigger it through our interaction, and then that'll bring it up to the surface, and there's no avoiding it whatsoever. It's then active, it's animated, it's present. It's like that part of my personality, that part of my being is now being very embodied in the moment, and there's just no getting away from it. It's kind of shocking the way it comes about in our process, the way we trigger each other to catalyze this integration process that we do all the time. To catalyze the alchemy, we trigger each other a lot, almost daily, to keep this process moving, to keep it happening. And that's what happened. So we had our triggering with each other, and it was just so acutely so painful, because that aspect of me was suddenly like my main expression in the moment, and I had to go and sit with it and be with it and just feel it. Don't run, don't hide, just sit there. It's getting harder now that we live in just one room. We don't have a house, whereas before I could go into a different room or go into the garden, or we still had privacy and we had containment. So it's getting a little bit more challenging to do all this alchemy the way we are on the road. We just live in one room, basically, like a bedroom. We just live in a bedroom. We don't have a living room and a kitchen and any other spaces of our own privately. So I'm having to navigate how to still do all this alchemy in a more public way, and still keep it contained and keep myself safe and all of that. And we have to respect the walls are quite thin, so the neighbours, the people in the room next door, I don't want them hearing all of this either, because it needs expressed. It's part of the process for us. It needs expressed. So I had to go and find somewhere that I could be with it and do the alchemy and do the work. I couldn't stay in the room. I couldn't stay in the bedroom. It was just too intense. I felt like I was going to explode, and like I say, I didn't want to affect neighbours or anything, people staying here as well. So I went out. This was at night as well, so I didn't have a lot of choices, but I went out to, there's one kind of communal living room in this building complex, and I went and sat there. Thankfully there was no one there, but I just went and sat there, and I went deep into it, and I just felt all the pain of it. I felt all the pain of it. I allowed myself to feel all the pain of that part of me, that aspect. It was like a burning, intense fire of pain in my heart, and I just had to sit there and cry and feel it and listen and just be with it. Like I say, no ducking and weaving, just sitting there and facing it and feeling it, because that's how these parts of us get integrated. There's no other way that I know of for us to, because in the reintegration process, it's literally like an energetic being coming back to you. So you experience everything they know. You experience everything they feel. And that is the process of re-merging and like reuniting. In order to reunite, you have to embrace everything about that part of you, so that it can eventually dissolve and integrate back into the wholeness of who and what you are. So I felt that really intensely, and it actually went on all night. I could barely sleep. It was one of the most intense nights that I've had since we've been staying here. I think I've had quite a few, to be honest, but it was incredibly intense. And the interesting thing about it as well was I could feel my white light aspect. It's sort of like, well, it's like a imperial white light aspect, part of empire, sort of, well, fascist, like a white light Nazi kind of. I know that term gets used a lot, but we can all kind of, it's such an archetype, the Nazi archetype. So the energy of it, the way it functions and behaves is like that. And I got to process, well, it's a living being, it's a living part of me, so it has a life. It has a life of its own. It has relationships, it has a sense of belonging, it has a function, it has work, it has a life. It's living part of me, but it's living in an environment of very fixed beliefs and very limited beliefs, because that part of me is very separate from the wholeness of who I am. It's very separate on the scale of the way we've been separated. It's really quite far on the white, on the light. This is the extreme dark. It's on the extreme light end of the spectrum, but it's completely separate from itself, from me, from the wholeness. And because it's so separate, that's why it's in so much pain. And I realized that's also why it hates what it is not. So when it comes to that aspect, hating nature, hating innocence, hating beauty, hating happiness, it's because it does not have access to those things in itself. And when it sees those things outside itself, it just triggers its pain so much that it just wants to destroy the thing to make it go away. It's almost understandable when I can appreciate from its perspective how it feels in itself. It's in so much pain because it's so separate from love. It's so separate from true light. It's so separate from the natural way. It's almost in its own way kind of trapped in this separate version of reality, and it struggles. It's very painful. So yeah, when it does get met with an expression of life that is beautiful, organic, natural, harmonious, it is so triggering for it. and because it deep down in its being, it knows it is separate and it can't access that. It doesn't have access to those things, and that is a painful experience, basically. So when I was able to process that, I could feel a certain level of empathy and compassion as well for how it feels to be that separate. And then to be that separate, it makes you function in a certain way. It makes you function in a certain way which is limited and grounded in separation. And then you're in a kind of culture with other people who are in the same condition, and you create life that way. But on the most part, it's very damaging and painful to other life forms that are on the receiving end of it. Yes, and it's taken me a very long time to come to terms with the violence of this expression, the violence of this type of being, this kind of separated false light being, which is like authoritarian. It's sort of militaristic, at least the one I have been has been sort of militaristic. It's how else could I describe it? I described it in that video quite well. I said it's all about, power over. It's about dominance over life. It's about control. It's got its kind of superiority element to it as well, where it deems itself more important and more kind of worthy than other life forms. It just has that innate sense that it has this authority and it's more important and it knows best and it's not to be questioned. It's just this absolute sense of authority and righteousness, self-righteousness, that just, it's total. It's such a deep belief. It's like, it truly feels like it knows that that's right and that's how it needs to be. That's how it needs to be, and that's how it needs to behave, and all other life just has to deal with that. That's how it is. All other life just has to deal with it, and that's how it is. This is hard. This is hard because, it's the empire. It's the force of empire that, in so many lifetimes, has been my nemesis. It's been my nemesis, my absolute opponent, and just my complete kind of polarized expression, especially in this lifetime. It's been my challenge of challenges, I would say, has been this false light, empirical empire, domineering force. And so to be at this stage now where I'm owning that in me is a big deal for me. It's a really big deal for me because I've been living in my wounded victimness around it for so long that it has prevented me from being able to own it and integrate it, and it's actually given it more power almost because I have not integrated it. It's in this integrative process that it starts to neutralize the impact that it can have. It starts to retire it almost. And I had to feel how it felt being retired and being demoted and being like taken away from its position. It really, really did not want that to happen. It did not enjoy that experience, of course, because for that it's a kind of death experience for it, which is very painful. And I had to process its death process, if you like, as it relinquished. It was kind of forced to relinquish, but it must have been ready also. But as it went through the process of relinquishing its life, which is a part of me, so I personally felt there was a real sense of bereavement, a real deep sadness. I remember it saying, you've taken everything away from me. You've taken away everything I hold dear. And you've taken away everybody that I love from me. It's just so, that's how it felt. That's what it said to me. And I just had to hold it all, hold my heart open, hold the process, to allow this kind of death process to happen, as I just allowed it and encouraged it to return to my heart here. But yeah, it's sad, very sad. And I got a bit stuck at some point in the night. I got stuck in a loop with the energy trying to integrate. I got stuck in a loop, so it was happening for hours, and it was coming in, and I was processing all the emotion and all the feeling, but then it kind of couldn't continue in, because it kept bouncing off. It was like going in a loop, trying to come in, and then bouncing off and going back and bouncing off. And I was sort of half asleep at the time, but I just remember going, right, this process, there's something needed here to help. It had reached just a sticking point, that's the best way to put it. It had reached a sticking point in the reintegration process. And I woke myself up a bit more because it needed some of my input, really. And the thing that helps me a lot with these integration processes, especially with the more challenging aspects of myself that are coming home, is compassion. So I guess there was a sticking point there because I was still struggling. Susie, me, I was still struggling to fully accept and love, and I was struggling to accept and love those aspects. So it wasn't fully integrating, and it needed my heart to open more. I was still slightly on edge and slightly conflicty in myself towards it. I was still there a bit, so it couldn't integrate. But that was an interesting thing to realize and experience. So I had to go more into my heart. I had to go into compassion, and that's compassion for me, the one Susie here holding the space, having to process so much feelings, because I processed my feelings as Susie as well as the feelings of this aspect, this false light aspect. So I had to move into a space of love for me, for it, and then also, interestingly, what came in behind that was a reptile energy, a reptilian energy, which was amazing, actually. So I had me here, and I have this false light aspect, which, yeah, I won't. I don't want to put too many projections onto it. So I had this false light aspect, and then an energy coming in there behind it was a reptile. So I started integrating all of that together, and it actually helped me make sense of where all this dominance, where all these intense ideologies have been coming from. So to have that even further background, it was almost like a shadowy figure behind it all was this reptilian, which must be part of me as well. So there was three of us. There was then three of us for a while being integrated and processed there. Yes, so that went on for some time more, and then I started to process the reptile's experience of it as well, which was, it has its own voice as well, and it has a lot of grief. It had a lot of grief around letting go of its life and of its position and of, well, everything it cares for, even though it's totally separate and it's quite distorted. It still has so much love and care for what it's doing, even though it's very, very painful. It's very committed to what it does, and it cares about it a lot. So yeah, for it to let go of that was not easy, and because it's been doing it for such a long time, and the reptiles are very, very proud. They're very proud, they're very tribal, they're very committed to who they are, what they are, their people, their lineages. They're very staunch in their approach and in their beliefs. Very strong, very, very intensely committed in their, it's a form of love in their experience. It might not be a version of love that we feel as love, but it is a type of love. So for that energy to lose its power and to lose its grasp on its life and everything it works for, everybody it's been working and caring about, is sad. There was a lot of grief there, understandably. I understand that as well. And this went on for more and more hours, and I could feel the energies integrating and sort of diminishing, which means they were more dissolved in me. You know, it was almost like they were just more faint outside my being, less present outside and more integrated. And I remember it was almost like the reptilian aspect's last breath. It was like its dying breath, and it whispered, "Reptiles rule the world." That's what it said. It said, "Reptiles rule the world." And I heard that, and I just felt so much love in that moment, because and all I could say to it was, they used to rule the world. That's over now. And then it went silent. So that was all involved in that incredible alchemy and remembrance, literally reintegrating my different members, my different aspects, reintegrating them, feeling them, honouring them, learning how they function, how they tick, learning what matters to them as well, learning how they feel, is all part of the process, part of the acceptance, part of the love, part of the wholeness. Part of the wholeness. And yes, it's a powerful thing to share. It's a powerful thing to feel, and it's a powerful thing to do. And I will continue with this. I feel like I have done a lot there. I have done a lot of work integrating those aspects. There's still a little more to go, and maybe this video will help actually as part of that process of making it even more real and sharing it and being honest about it. Because it's all about returning all these aspects to love. That's not a cliche, it's real. That's real. This is what we need to do. This is the job. This is the job, and this is the peacemaking between all these different aspects of our being. Aspects that are often polarized and have been in conflict with each other. I have been, in my being, I've been internally divided, and I've been internally conflicted for so many years, because I've had all these different expressions in me, often at war with each other, what felt like irreconcilable differences a lot of the time. But in this like evolutionary process, it's about ending that conflict. It's about owning, becoming responsible for being on both sides of any conflict in our multidimensional expressions. It's about coming to know that we are part of everything. We have parts of us, aspects and expressions of us in every area of life. Every area, even the ones that challenge us the most. We've got aspects of us in there doing that, like that. We've just anything you can imagine, any expression of life you can imagine, you are that. And many more we can't imagine as well. This is our multidimensional remembrance of what we're like as beings. And for me, yes, making peace with that often contradictory nature of my being, then, that I could be so many different things all at once. Coming to terms with that reality, making peace with that reality, and sharing as I am, as we are, how that process feels, what it's like for us, that reintegration, that remembrance as it's happening, because it's like a pathway. It's a pathway of integration, and that's a pathway home. Home is not on a different planet or going off with a different group. Home is here in our hearts. Home is here in our hearts. Home is realizing our multidimensional nature. And that's our pathway of evolution. That's the pathway of evolution we're on. Remembrance, reintegration, wholeness, becoming whole again, and unifying all our different aspects and expressions, because it's kind of collating that overall experience and all the experience and knowledge and wisdom gained, that's what's being brought home as well over time. And when I'm not internally conflicted, when I'm not internally divided and separate, I am more coherent in my being, I'm more at peace. And there's just a greater sense, I can access more of myself than I could before, because my energy is not divided in so many different directions. So I think that's more or less what I need to share today about this process I'm in. Thank you for listening. Yes, thank you for listening, considering, and I'll keep on. This is our full-time job. We're full-time alchemists. We're full-time alchemists, and we will keep doing that, and we will keep sharing it, because it's exciting times in some sense that this is all possible now. This is all possible now for us, and it's time. It's time as well. So I'll leave it here and wish you all well, and I'll see you again next time. Bye everyone. Bye for now.